Hello and welcome to the Fourth and Clutch podcast, the best sports podcast you have never heard of until now. I am one half of your co-host. My name is Darren. The other half of Fourth and Clutch is my boy Elise here. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, y'all? Episode 2, we're here. Excited to jump into it with you guys. So let's see what we got on the slate.
All right, man. So Thursday night football just ended. 33-31. We just had a banger of a Thursday night game, which we haven't had in a while. The good old Joe Flacco came out. I called it hell of a game for Joe Flacco. 31 for 47, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, 16 receptions from Jamar Chase for a 161 and 1 tud. Um, I'll be honest, I kind of called it. I knew this was a trap game for the Steelers. I was expecting a Flacco game. And ultimately, man, Jamar Chase might just be the best receiver in football. Like, it's not even close in my opinion. He absolutely abused anyone that covered him tonight. Jalen Ramsey looked like he was cooked. Like, he's on his last legs in the NFL. They put Slay on him. They put Porter on him. They threw everyone at him, and Jamar just found a way to make plays and make things happen. Big game
Yep.
tonight for the Bengals, especially in the run game. Chase Brown, 11 carries, 108 yards. Samaje Perine, 7 carries, 31 yards. They essentially almost tripled their run total per game tonight versus the previous weeks are only averaging about 55 yards a game rushing.
Yeah, you got me on this one. I had Steelers winning this game. I was wrong. Coming out of the bye, I wasn't expecting the Steelers to come out. They weren't flat. We can't say that the Steelers came out and just sucked. Like, they came out, they still played well. DK Metcalf still did well. Freiermuth went off for 2 touchdowns and 111 yards this game. I wouldn't say probably a career game, actually, probably considering the last couple of years.
Yeah,
He's kind of like faded off ever since they've drafted him. But yeah, you called it trap game. Coming out of the bye, I thought they had the Bengals. I didn't really see, through the Vegas lines, the like point projection moving anywhere for the Bengals. So I just thought it was going to be more or less the same offense. They're not projecting that Jake Browning was any worse than Joe Flacco, more or less the same. But yeah, you got me on this one. It was a hell of a game. We both agree on that. Went all the way to the end. We're hoping that we can cut the game off halfway and just jump into it because we're like, yeah, so-and-so blew them out. So we had to watch it down to the wire. So walk-off field goal for the Bengals. Great job for them. Get their season back on track. And who knows, wherever this goes, like the whole point of trading for Joe Flacco was that they can salvage their season.
By time.
So that way when Joe Burrow gets back, possibly make a playoff run. In a weaker AFC right now, that's kind of like falling apart here and there. So you never know.
Yeah, definitely. This is a huge game for the AFC North overall. Pretty much the Steelers win that game. They essentially just hand them the division at that point. The Bengals kind of saved the division here a bit. Aaron Rodgers had 2 picks. Both of them were. One of them was just definitely terrible throw on his part, threw into double coverage and got picked off. It's definitely one of the more egregious picks from Aaron Rodgers. The other one was into double coverage too, but DK Metcalf just got bullied. He essentially had it, got ripped, and he got blasted all in the same play. So great play by the Bengals there. The way to make plays on defense tonight. That's kind of the key factor there. The 2 turnovers to none from the Bengals. So huge game out of them. Huge win in their all white uniforms that always look so crispy on a Thursday night game. They pulled out a dub here, and shout out Joe Flacco, man. He plays really good when he has no expectations of him, and he's not the guy. Because now he's on a team where he's just like, oh, I have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw the ball to. I can't possibly mess this up. And he showed it.
Yeah, like when he had that magical playoff run for those last several games where they signed him over to the Browns off a couch. He comes back to the Cleveland Browns. They already christened him as a hero. So all these expectations are there for him to become this hero yet again. Gets out of there because he's not playing very well. Comes to the Bengals. And honestly, he's kind of revived Higgins and Jamar Chase in a fantasy football aspect where I come in. But yeah, he's getting them fed. He's giving them the ball. He's letting them work. And that's a huge part of why they won. And shout out to Chase Brown for once. This dude was averaging 2.7, I believe, yards per carry coming into this game. Ending up with over 100 yards on 11 carries. So that's going to help him for the rest of the season. We'll see if the Bengals can carry this out moving forward. My expectations, I hope. I definitely hope. It's nice to see the Bengals be good at football. It sucks when they're ass. So it's not one of those teams where I just unnecessarily hate. It's one of those teams where like they have a fun offense to watch. So when they're good,
Exactly.
football's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot better when you get to see Jamar Chase and T. Higgins getting the ball a lot, and because you know how talented those two are. Jamar Chase, like I said, arguably being the best football and the best receiver in football, and T. Higgins being probably probably one of the best, if not the best, number two option in football as well. So it's always better when
Yeah.
we see those two guys go off, and especially for our fantasy football purposes too. Because I have T. Higgins in two leagues, so that was nice to see him have a 21-point game tonight for me in fantasy. But other than that, man, let's go ahead and roll on to the next segment. All right, man. Next segment, we got week 7 predictions here. We're going to start off in London again, the last game of the London series. We got the Rams and the Jags. I'll go ahead and let you take this one first. No Puka Nakua for the Rams as of right now. He was not listed on the practice team as practicing today. So, what do you think going into this game?
I expect him to miss. They have a bye next week, so they're probably going to let him rest this week, and then with the natural bye week that he was going to sit anyways. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard because the Jags lost a close one last week. Rams need to kind of get back to it. I'm going to narrowly lean Rams, though. Matt Stafford gets it done when it matters, and I'm going to bank on the better QB in this one. And, with Puka being out, I expect Devontae Adams to be fed often. It's going to be between Tutu Atwell and Jordan Whittington to pick up that wide receiver 2 role. I don't know who I'm betting my money on, especially for fantasy purposes, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Jordan Whittington at this point.
Got you. I'm going with the Jags here. Defense travels, especially in these overseas games. Jags have had one of the best defenses in football. The Rams argue without Puka Nakua, so no force feeding him this game. I'm going with the Jags here. I think they'll win this one in a tightly contested game. I would say probably about 24-21 type game for this one. I'm going to lean with the Jags, though, for sure. And then rolling into the next game, we got your Chicago Bears hosting the Spencer Rattler led New Orleans Saints. I'll go first on this one because I know you're going to say a lot about your Bears. I am going to take the Bears on this one, but I think it's going to be a closer game than people think just because the Bears defense, it has been inconsistent as of lately. They did have a decent outing in the first half against the Commanders, but that second half they kind of crumbled a little bit. So I'm going to expect kind of something similar here where they don't have the most consistent full game yet. And Spencer Rattler's been playing at a decent level. Chris Olave is healthy coming into this one. So I'm going to take the Bears in this one. Probably I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say 28-17 Bears on this one.
Okay. I got my Bears on this one, but this is important to note. This is easily our trap game. Off of 3 wins in a row, we come in off a big win against the Raiders, a big win off the Commanders, which a lot of people were expecting us to lose that game. Both of them ending in field goals, one getting blocked, one of them ending with the Bears making it. Injury reports not looking great for the Bears. We have a few players out again. Not looking great for the defensive line, who hasn't contributed still to this point. I want to disagree with you on the defensive point. I do believe this has been our most consistent, full put together game on the defensive side. We're +8 in the turnover differential right now, which I believe puts us in the top 10 in the league right now. That's 3 consecutive turnovers in 3 straight games. So our defense hasn't held up against the run for most of the year up until this last game against Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, anybody who's played fantasy football, anybody who just loves the game of football expected him to go off on us, and we held him to nothing. Obviously, we have Alvin Kamara, who's a little older, might be over the hill at this point. They still got Kendre Miller, who's a young, energetic player at this point, too, that this coaching staff seems to love a lot more than the previous. So we'll see. I think Alvin Kamara is actually going to be the X factor in this game. If our defense does hold up on the run, then it's going to be up to Spencer Rattler to beat us, and I think that's going to be our biggest key to victory, is forcing the young QB to beat us. And this is going to be a slight revenge game for Spencer Rattler, who got benched in Oklahoma for Caleb Williams, who actually skyrocketed his career, or jump-started his career, I should say, from that point. So I got my Bears 24-21. I do agree with you. It's going to be a lot closer than people think because the Saints have been a lot more competitive than people are giving them credit for. They've been competitive in a lot of these games. I'll just put it that way. Like they could have easily been 3-3 at this point.
So I'm actually changing my pick right now to the Saints. Not because it's a trap game for you guys, but it's a Spencer Rattler revenge game. And as an Oklahoma fan, I understand why Lincoln Riley went to Caleb Williams over Spencer Rattler, but I don't. The issue with that offense that we were running with Oklahoma at the time was he wasn't playing to Spencer Rattler's strengths, which is airing out the ball and throwing deep balls and letting him kind of move within the pocket. It was a lot of read option and short game with Spencer Rattler as opposed to long game with Spencer Rattler. So I kind of think he got done dirty at Oklahoma. Him and Caleb never liked each other since they were there together. So I'm actually change my tone here and take the Saints as a flip up because it is a Rattler revenge game. I'm gonna go Saints here 21-17.
Had to remind you of that. I was like, you had the Bears convincingly by 2 scores, and then all of a sudden you got to switch it up. But I don't blame you. So I guess we'll see what happens. We'll split that one.
All right, next game we got Cheeks versus Butt. Miami at Cleveland. I'll let you go first on this one, man. This is terrible.
This is hard because the Browns defense has probably been, I know statistically not the best, but on paper, but like to your eye test, they've been the most lockdown defense this year. Quinshon Judkins, I expect him to go for 100 plus and a touchdown this game. It just all depends on what Dylan Gabriel does. I hated their game script last week where they had Dylan Gabriel air out the ball 52 times, very inefficient, couldn't find his targets consistently enough. He needs to feature the receivers more in this game, maybe because Njoku missing this week, that's going to help a lot because he needs to feature Jerry Jeudy a lot more. He went off last year with Joe Flacco and other quarterbacks, but I think that he definitely needs to get the receivers more involved. They need to get more of the deep game going this one. I'll probably go Dolphins. That's a hard one. I don't know. I might have to go Dolphins. I'll go Dolphins. I think they finally get a game here, and if they don't, I very well expect a Mike McDaniel firing after this one. So I'll go Dolphins since my hand's forced because something in my heart's telling me they have to win this one, or Mike McDaniel might be out the building.
I'm going Browns. The Dolphins have been in the media a lot this week for all the wrong reasons. A lot of player turmoil started stemming from Tua. Mike McDaniel has far lost his locker room. So I'm going to go Cleveland at home. I'm going to trust their defense more than Miami's defense. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think. I'm probably looking 17-14 here, probably around that score if I had to take a guess. But I'm going to go Cleveland here in a narrow one at home. Does that mean at home is really the deciding factor for me?
This is where I'm going to do my flip because you reminded me that Tua snitched out Mike McDaniel and said that the player meetings were happening. So you're right. It reminds me of like last year when the player meetings were happening with Matt Eberflus as the Bears coach, and they fell apart. It was almost like they're losing on purpose to get that bum out the fucking door.
Yeah.
Excuse 100%. My language. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Browns on this one. I'll flip the script. I was narrowly going to have it 21-17 regardless. So I'll just flip it and go Browns on this one.
Got you, man. So the next one, we got a division game here. We got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Kansas City Chiefs. This one is a little interesting for me because I know the Chiefs have gone hot lately, but the theme of this week is trap games. And Max Crosby has been playing out of his mind this year. He's probably having one of his best years that he's had overall. But it is Geno Smith on the other end, and he's been playing one of the worst. He looks like the New York Jet Geno Smith right now, which is not a good thing. It could be a trap game for the Chiefs, but just with the way Geno Smith is playing, I can't take the Raiders at all. So I am going to go Chiefs, but I do think it's going to be closer than people think.
I think the last 2 years, and I might be wrong on this one, but I think that the Raiders have taken one game from the Chiefs the last 2 years. So this is hard. So the first time they're playing, it seems like the Chiefs just dominate them like they usually do. The second time, it's either a lot closer or the Raiders steal it. I think this one is going to be like how it's been the last few years where the Chiefs handle business as usual. Geno Smith's been god-awful. I have a Raiders fan that I work with who talks about we should have just kept Aiden O'Connell. And he was one of those guys that he made your fantasy players the most relevant players, hence Brock Bowers having the best statistical tight end season of all time. But Yeah, Geno Smith's been playing too horrible. And if you're going to just take the quarterback versus the quarterback, best player versus best player, Pat Mahomes is the best player on the field. I'm going to go Chiefs on this one, 28-17.
All right, next game, I got my Philadelphia Eagles at the Minnesota Vikings. I will let you go first on this one for obvious reasons. So go ahead and get your prediction out the way, man.
So as of now, play calling duties have not been stripped from Kevin Patullo. I get it. It's a 4-2 team. Like I said, probably the most frustrated 4-2 team, the only team I've ever seen at 4-2 who's in the most turmoil I've ever seen at this point. I got the Eagles on this one. I really do. I think you guys get right on this one. It's looking like Carson Wentz is probably going to start again, even though he's dealing with his own injury. And I feel like that is a deciding factor because we've talked about it before. You didn't want to grade JJ McCarthy, but I gave him a grade. I think he's been the worst starting quarterback in NFL this year. So if they give him the reins, who knows? Maybe the break is what he needed. Maybe he needed to clear out the mental. He can get right, but it's not going to be against the Phillies defense. With the injuries that you guys have with Quinyon Mitchell right now, I'm not sure. His status seems like it's still up in the air.
He was a full participant in practice today, so it looks like he will be a go on Sunday.
Okay. Again, it's against Justin Jefferson. You hold him to what you can. He's not going to be held to nothing. Quinyon Mitchell is an underrated corner in this league, but Justin Jefferson's still going to get his. He's arguably number 2 or number 3 in the league right now. Yeah, I got Eagles on this one. I think this is where you guys get right, but a lot of things need to start getting addressed. I can see that if your guys' offense is very inefficient this week, that Kevin Patullo might get play calling duties stripped from him. AJ Brown, he needs to cut the antics out. He needs to stop. Leave the book at home. You're not reading it. You're like LeBron faking that book. You're stuck on the cover for 2 hours. Like, just stop. You're on the index page. Yeah, no, I got Eagles on this one. It's going to be lower scoring because the Minnesota Vikings defense is legit, but I do believe Brian Flores blitzing a lot. The Brian Flores defense we know with his nonstop blitzes. I think that's actually going to help Jalen Hurts to have a hell of a game on the ground. I got him 24-20.
So I'm always gonna pick my team, even though I don't feel confident in it. I'm gonna take my Eagles.
Don't bet on it, like you said earlier.
Bet on it. Yeah, I'm gonna take my Eagles here. We're coming off a mini bye off a terrible loss to Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterboo. I can't believe I just said that again. Still pissed off about that one. But yeah, we're coming off a rough loss off a mini bye. I think this is the game where we find the run game and get it established. I hope this is kind of my prediction here. I feel like this will be a big game for Saquon here. I just don't trust the QB situation in Minnesota right now, no matter who the quarterback is. I do think our defense is just good enough to make stuff happen. My only concern is that we still have Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo on this roster. They couldn't stop a stop sign from stopping anything, So I'm concerned about that. But I'm taking my Eagles. It's gonna be not pretty. It's gonna be a very ugly win for us. I'm gonna say about probably the score you went with, but it's be a very ugly win for us. And I hope we win this game, but the offense looks so bad that Kevin Patullo still gets stripped to play calling. So I could get a double win out of this one.
What's your score prediction on it?
I'm gonna go 21-17, just because I think both defenses are good enough to hold back these really as good as our offense can be. We haven't shown it over the last few weeks, so I'm going to go 21-17, and it's probably come because we somehow get a turnover from Carson Wentz.
It's something I've always told you since you guys drafted Jalen Hurts. He's a baller. He's a winner. Maybe not the most talented quarterback with the arm, but he's a winner. I think he's going to find a way to win this game. It is probably going to be a battle of defenses if you guys can get the ball going on offense, but I definitely think you guys got this one.
Got you. So, yeah, I'm going Eagles still. I hate you, Kevin Patullo, with everything in my heart. I hate you so much. I hope you know that, and I hope if you ever see this, I hate you. Next game, we got the Panthers at the Jets. This is an interesting one. The Panthers are coming off of a shootout win against the Cowboys. But the thing is, we also know the Panthers could be the Panthers and completely just blow this one. Their defense isn't that good. they did do pretty good against their run last week against the Cowboys. Um, and the Jets rely heavily on the run, but I got a feeling that Justin Fields has a huge game on the ground for himself this game, and I'm gonna go with the Jets 24-21 in this game.
They got to win a game at some point, right? So, like, what better team than the Panthers, who have been like struggling along? They single handedly have Rico Dowdle to thank for the last 2 wins. So, unfortunately, we're not going to see Rico Dowdle as the starter. They're committing to Chuba Hubbard as a starter, as the latest reports. If he does play, they paid him the contract. They named him as a captain. They can't go with Rico Dowdle. It makes no sense for them. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to hurt their offense. I think Chuba Hubbard's going to be rushing back because he saw Rico Dowdle put a second game together where he had over 200 yards on the ground. So I think he's going to be playing hurt, and I think Rico Dowdle is going to get probably like a 60-40 split, possibly even 70-30 once they see that Chuba Hubbard's a little inefficient with his injury that he's still dealing with. But yeah, I think I got Jets getting right on this one. I think Aaron Glenn's a hell of a coach. I think he's a culture setter. I think that this is just the New York Jets. They've had bad coach after bad coach. Quarterback situation, they can never get figured out. Justin Fields looked atrocious last week. And I like to believe, as a Bears fan, who I thought we made the right move of letting him go instead of taking the haul for the number 1 pick for Caleb Williams and building around Justin Fields. I like to believe that he's a better quarterback than what we saw last week. I mean, even Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, name them. Nobody went and did anything during last week's game. That was one of the worst NFL games we'll ever see, and it's rare that we get a game that bad. So I think I got Jets in this one. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be pushing the 30s. I have the Jets 31, 20, 24 Panthers.
Nice. So I'd agree with you with that. It could end up just turning a complete shootout. We'll see what happens, like I said, but I do think that the Jets find a way to win here and just kind of try to build some momentum. Even if I know they're playing for a high pick at this point, but they do just need to build any type of momentum just to build a culture in that locker room.
Yeah.
And what we got next is another interesting game here. We have New England at Tennessee. So we have Mike Vrabel returning to Tennessee since they let him go. And we have Tennessee coming in with a different head coach, with the interim head coach, and Cam Ward. The Patriots are playing some of the best football right now. Drake May is currently on a hot streak. This Titans defense isn't that good. I don't know how they're going to look now. I'm sure the locker room might be a little better now that Brian Callahan is gone. But this is a revenge game for Mike Vrabel. And Drake May is just playing too good right now for them not to lose. So I do have the Patriots in a blowout here. I would take it like 31-10 Patriots.
Yeah, this is going to be my upset. I think the Titans are going to take this one. You see it with a lot of teams over the last few years. They get like that little momentum boost once they get the cancer out of the building, being Brian Callahan. I think they're going to circle around Mike McCoy this game. I think they're going to play a lot better. I mean, they're going to be going without Calvin Ridley, it looks like, this game. As my last report that I saw, he hasn't been practicing. So I can't pronounce his name correctly, but Iomanner, I believe is his name, is going to be taking over as the wide receiver 1. So still not a lot of weapons for Cam Ward to work with, which unfortunately, we talked about this last episode. These number 1 picks aren't always walking to the best situations. I think they need to get Tajay Spears involved more in this game as well. 100%. Rely on him heavily for the little toss downs real quick, just little check downs, just get him in open field now that he's another week removed from that injury. I don't know, something about this game. Again, we're talking about week of the trap games. Patriots have been hot. Titans have been ass. So I don't know. I'm leaning on that confidence boost that they get from firing the coach, moving on to the interim coach for the first week, get that momentum boost. I got Titans in this one narrowly. I probably have them 21-17, 24-21-ish.
Gotcha. I respect that. And yeah, it could be one of those games where they feel re-energized with the interim coach there, but I just think the Patriots are playing too good of football right now to go against them right now. Yeah, and coming up with our first game of the afternoon slate, we have the New York Football Giants visiting the Denver Broncos. I'll let you go ahead and take this one first, actually.
Yeah, I want to say that Cam Scatterboo and Jackson Dart are going to build on their magic, but it's not a sustainable way to play football. I saw this hilarious clip where I don't remember that kid from The Simpsons, but where he flies head first out of the bus. Like I saw a little clip of
I
Jackson
know what
Dart
you're
doing that
talking
to
about.
defender where he's running out of bounds. He just dives head first into the defender. It's not a sustainable way to play. They're both going to get hurt at some point. Cam Scatterboo has the weight to be a running back who can play like that. But, with head injuries being as common as they are, the way that they play, it's not sustainable. I think that their magic lasted for the Eagles game, but I think the Broncos are going to handle this game. I think Bo Nix gets better and gets his get right on this game. I think him and Cortland Sutton are going to connect a lot. That little 1-2 punch that they have right now with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. I expect them to, especially for fantasy purposes, I expect them to get R.J. Harvey a little bit more involved this game. He's a weapon. You guys drafted him in the second round. You guys need to use him. I know you guys like J.K. Dobbins at this point, but you guys got to see what your rookie can do. And from what little glimpses we've seen, like he can ball. So
100%.
Denver's defense being as good as they are, I don't think that he's going to pick them. I don't think Jackson Dart's going to pick them apart the way he picked your guys' Eagles apart. That was one of those division trap games where you guys might have took them lightly, rookie QB, rookie running back, but they had all the momentum on their side, and I don't think it's going to carry into this week.
Broncos by 1 million.
Salt. Salt.
Oh, there's some salt there for sure. Broncos by 1 million. I think this is a get right game for the Broncos for sure. Also, it's gonna be very interesting to see what the Giants do going into Denver. We do know playing at that altitude, living where we live, we do know what the altitude is like. It's a huge difference when we go from playing or working out here to like somewhere like Phoenix where it's lower. I feel like I could go for hours in cardio in Phoenix. So the Giants going to Denver with such a heavy workload for Scatterboo too. I got Denver just because they're at home mainly, but I also just think they're the far better team. Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton, I think, will have a huge game. I'm also expecting a huge game at RJ Harvey, and I just think this Broncos defense is too good to get cut up by Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterboo. Because you're without Malik Neighbors for the year. So you got Pastor Can shadowing Rondell Robertson the whole game. And yeah, it's not going to go pretty for the Giants. So I think Denver is actually going to win by a lot here. If I had to give a score, I'm going to go Denver 35 and the Giants 10.
Well, Jordan Humphrey's going to have to turn into Prime Megatron like you mentioned in that first video.
Not happening. I mean, Riley Moss is cheeks, but he's not that cheeks. Next game, we got in the Fighting Indiana Joneses, aka the Indianapolis Colts, heading to LA to take on the Chargers. This is an interesting game. The Chargers are battling with a lot of injuries. But that defense is still really good that the Chargers have. Any Jim Harbaugh-led defense is gonna be good. Daniel Jones having a magical run right now. Indianapolis can run the ball. That's the biggest key here is how is Jonathan Taylor gonna handle this defense. It's a close one for me. It is be close score. I think it's going to be more of a defensive slugfest and an offensive shootout for sure. I'm going to slightly actually lean the Chargers here because I do think Justin Herbert is the better quarterback in this matchup. And I just think that their defense will do enough to keep them in the game to where they can set Justin Herbert up for a game-winning drive or just to win overall.
Yeah, I mean, I have to kind of lean with you on this one. I think the Chargers, I do believe they're going to win, but they have to win this game. Mm-hmm. They've lost 2 heartbreakers in a row where they just look outmatched. They look outplayed. They look like they fell apart. It looks like Kamani Vidal ended up being the number 1 running back in that backfield, and he looked pretty good, having over 100 yards on the ground that day. Colts defense is nothing to scoff at either. They've always been like a decently coached defense. It seems like for like the better part of the decade. But yeah, Chargers defense with Harbaugh, better defense, better run game when it comes to other teams. When it comes to Jonathan Taylor, he's going to win this one. But, Daniel Jones, I think he's going to have to lean more on his arm this game. And I think that's what they're banking on. I think they're going to stack the box this game, being the Chargers. And I think that's their key to victory. You got to shut down Jonathan Taylor as much as you can. Force Daniel Jones, who's had 1 great season, possibly 2. I guess you can go to that near playoff run that they had with the Giants where he got his contract year. But yeah, you're gonna have to force him to throw the ball to Pittman. You're gonna have to force him to throw the ball to Alec Pierce and company. But I got the Chargers narrowly on this one. I think it's going to be 27-24, possibly ending in heartbreak fashion yet again. But I definitely think Chargers not only need to win this game, but I do believe they'll win this game.
100% agree with you on that one. The next game of the 2 o'clock slate is the Green Bay Packers at the Arizona Cardinals. I believe K1 will be back this week.
Yeah.
Just the Packers are playing really bad football right now, but it's also the Cardinals. That's the other issue here in this game. I'm gonna take the Packers here. I just don't think the Cardinals are that good of a team. Jonathan Gannon will probably be fired by the end of this year too. He hasn't established the best culture there yet, and Kyler is just not a franchise quarterback. So I just kind of think this team's on the downward trend now. So yeah, I'm gonna go Packers in this one, and I don't think it's gonna be that close. Honestly, I think this would be the Packers get right game, even though I still think they're fraudulent. But I do think it's a get right game. I think Jordan Love goes huge here and has a stat pack game to where he just builds confidence to go to the next one.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those ones where Cardinals not typically, but I guess like in the last few years that I've remembered, they've beaten the Packers one or two times. So it's kind of hard, but I do think that this locker room's falling apart. I do believe that the offense and the organization is starting to lose faith in Kyler Murray. You not even being a Cardinals fan, just outside perspective looking in, you just don't believe in him. I don't believe in him. I don't think this dude's dedicating himself enough to the game of football. He's going to be going out there without his number one wide receiver, Marvin Harrison, as he suffered a concussion in the last game. So, you're down a weapon in an offense that's not humming as it is. You guys are down to your third, fourth, fifth string running backs at this point that you guys are just running a two-headed monster with, whoever the hell they got, Bam Knight and Michael Carter, who came off the streets just to come play for you guys. Yeah, I got Packers dominating them this game. Probably 31-17. Same as you. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think Jordan Love's going to go crazy. He's been playing pretty solid this year. Yeah, I think he's just going to connect with those weapons and it won't be close.
100% agree. So we're in agreement there. The next game, we got NFC East matchup between the Washington Commanders visiting the Dallas Cowboys. Go and take this one, man.
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels, as I alluded to in my last video, I noticed he was doing a lot of checkdowns, but I do believe a lot of that had to do with Terry McLaurin being hurt. Deebo Samuel still playing hurt. I think it's going to be more or less the same against this Dallas Cowboys defense. They can't rely on Chris Moore to hit a crazy Randy Moss-esque type of catch in the end zone. They can't rely on Luke McCaffrey getting wide open on a blown coverage. So they're going to have to do a lot of the same that they did against the Bears, but it's going to be on a weaker Dallas Cowboys defense, who actually looked a little bit better last week against the pass, but that was against Bryce Young. So give and take, their only weapon being Tedrow McMillan, who actually was kind of held, I believe, to his lowest targets and his lowest amount of receptions this year. He finally found the end zone. Yeah, found the end zone twice, but held him a little bit. I do believe that Jaden Daniels is going to overcome this game, but who knows? This is what happened last year with the Bears. We lost in heartbreaking fashion to the Commanders. It boosted them for the rest of the year, and it ruined our season. Who knows? This can be that momentum shifter for them. They're down a few players. It could be the Cowboys, but CeeDee Lamb might come back this game. It's looking like, as of right now, through the reports, that he will play. And if he does, that's a whole different game. CeeDee Lamb in it. I got Cowboys winning. CeeDee Lamb out. I think Jaden Daniels handles business in a close game, again, being a division rival. 24-21 with CeeDee Lamb. I think it's 31 to like 24.
So the Cowboys have the worst defense in the NFL right now. Rico Dowdle just looks like Private Emmitt Smith. Washington has a great run game, actually. They're starting to figure that out. And if Jaden Daniels is getting healthier week by week, his legs do become a factor in each game that he plays. I think the Commanders controlled this game using the run to their advantage. So I'm going to take the Commanders in this one, 24-17. My score here, actually, no. I'm going to go 34-27 just because both defenses aren't the best. So it will be a high-scoring affair, but I just think Washington does enough on the ground to win this game. That Cowboys defense is just so bad, man. Like, there's no positives to take away from it. Eberflus is so stuck on playing zone when he should be playing man with the DBs he
He won't
has,
he won't switch, and it's
but
not
he
going to
won't
change.
switch
I
it.
promise.
But also just that D line is not good at all. They're not getting any pass rush. They can't stop the run. So yeah, I'm going to Washington in this one, about 34-27 in this one.
And with the run game, how you're alluding to, like Washington Commanders actually have been a middle of the pack to above average run defense for the year. And they gave up 108 yards on the ground to DeAndre Swift, who's played awful all year long. I was hoping that during the bye week, we'd get another running back to help out this running back room, like a Brees Hall, like a Alvin Kamara, whoever was available. So it's like, are we looking at the Washington Commanders from last week, their run D, because Javonte Williams has been playing out of his mind? Or are we looking at the Washington Commanders from the first several weeks? So if they get their run game back, I believe they can hold Javonte Williams. So I can see where you're coming from. So we'll be split on this one, but I do agree with your take.
Cool. Next, we got Sunday Night Football. We got the Michael Penix-led Atlanta Falcons at the San Francisco Mac Joneses. 49ers, my bad. 49ers, sorry. This game is going to be very interesting. The Falcons are coming off a huge win against the Bills at home on Monday Night Football on primetime. Michael Penix had a great game. Drake London had one of the best games of his career thus far in the NFL. Bijan Robinson has gained it figured out. The offense is in a flow. Fred Warner is done for the year for the 49ers. With that being said, they're still not very healthy either. This 49ers team just kind of seem to stay healthy this year. If I was them, I would just pack it in for the year and go for a high draft pick because you're not going to get any healthier than what you are now. So I'm going to take the Falcons comfortably in this one. Probably win by 10 or more points. I just think they're the better offense, and the 49ers don't have much to work with as far as health-wise. And Fred Warner being out for the year, you lose your best defensive player, probably your best player in your entire team in Fred Warner, and you lose the leader of the locker room. So I have the Falcons very convincingly in this one.
Yeah, not only Fred Warner, but Nick Bosa being out for the year. So I would say that defense right now is comparable to what the Bills defense was. And who knows, Michael Penix being his first primetime game last week, he balled out. Maybe when the lights are the brightest, that's when he finally shows up. So if he can string together another good game, I'll definitely increase my grade on him for the year. But I do believe that the Falcons will come out on top on this one over the San Francisco game managers. But yeah, no, all jokes aside, the 49ers just can't get right with this injury bug. I think it's going to be another game where Kendrick Bourne is going to be their number one receiver. And I don't think against AJ Terrell, I don't know if he's playing right now actually, but either way, the Falcons defense has been playing decent on the year. I just don't think Kendrick Bourne's going to get his 100-yard game, 10 reception game.
Yeah.
I think they're going to hold him in check. It's going to be another McCaffrey game where they're going to rely on him heavily, which I wish they wouldn't do that because you do have an injury-prone running back that you're just wasting his healthy legs right now, which might not even be healthy. He might be like fighting through something with the whole season going on with him getting 30-plus touches a game. But yeah, I think Michael Penix, when the lights are brightest, I think he'll show up again. So I got Falcons. I can't give a score on this one, but it's going to be narrow. I think it's going to be a one-score game.
Interesting. I have it by 2 scores. I just think the Niners don't have enough on defense and our offense, honestly. Yeah, they have CMC.
On the whole team.
Yeah, the whole team as a whole just is very depleted. All right, man. And here we are, another Monday night doubleheader. For the 5:00 game our time, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. Detroit coming off a tough loss to the Chiefs. Their secondary is depleted. Byron Branch is out for this game due to suspension for pulling Juju Smith-Schuster by his ear like he was his mother. Pulling him off the playground. Tampa Bay is without Emeka Egbuka, who's been their best receiver by far this year. I believe Chris Godwin is doubtful coming into this game. There is the possibility that Mike Evans does play, but they said he was a limited practice today. I read the report right before we started recording. So it's a depleted defense against a depleted offense at this point. I'm gonna go with Detroit. I think their offense is better than Tampa Bay's offense as a whole. Tampa Bay's defense hasn't been the bright spot this year that we thought it would be. I think this is a bounce back game for the Lions for sure. I think they're gonna be playing pissed off with how they performed last week. I'm gonna expect that backfield of Sonic and Knuckles, aka Demo and Jahmyr Gibbs, to go absolutely crazy in this game. I'm going to take the Lions in this one, 31-17. And I know Baker's playing at a high level. He's just not gonna have the weapons to win this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, even with Mike Evans playing right now, he's gonna probably be rushing back. He's 31, 32, 33 years old. He's had a hamstring for the last several seasons. It always seems to take him a few games to get back, and it seems to take him a few games after the fact to ramp back up. I think Baker's magic, unfortunately, ends with this game until they finally start getting right with injuries. I do agree with your take. I do think that the Lions take this one. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance. It's going to be a high-scoring game, in my opinion. I don't think the defenses are going to hold each other very much. I still think Baker's going to ball out. I just don't think he's going to lead that game-winning drive like he's been doing. So I got Lions 34-31. I think this is going to be the highest-scoring game of the week.
Nice. So now, second game of the evening, we got the Houston Texans visiting the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. This is gonna be an interesting one. Not really. I think the Seahawks might blow the doors off of them, but I am gonna watch the game within the game between Derek Stingley and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think that's gonna be a great matchup to watch at that wide receiver one and one of the best DBs, one of the best receivers in football now, and one of the best DBs in football right now. Actually, that's be a great little game within the game to watch. I just think Sam Darnold's playing at too high of a level right now. That Houston team is not good on offense. That O-line is not good. CJ Stroud has no time to throw the ball. Nico Collins is going to be getting covered by, this really good secondary. Probably be bracketed the whole game, in all honesty. I have the Seahawks this one very comfortably, actually.
Okay. Yeah, and talking about CJ Stroud, go check out our TikTok. I ended up choosing a quarterback over CJ Stroud. Darren agreed with me on a very slight scale, but yeah, go check that out. But going back to the game, yeah, this one's a toss up for me. It's a coin flip. Are we going to see the CJ Stroud of last week or the week prior before the bye when they beat the doors off the Ravens? But that was one of the games where they just came out with Brandon Rush, or Cooper Rush, I should say. I'm sorry. So are we going to see that offense? Or are we going to see the offense that we saw for the first few weeks of the season where they look awful? The O-line can't block. CJ Stroud doesn't look like a great quarterback. I got Seahawks in this one. It was a close one for me because I want to believe that the Houston Texans keep this momentum going. But I think Sam Darnold's playing a little too well at this point. Jackson Smith and Jigba looks like a top 5, top 3 wide receiver for me at this point. So, yeah, I got the Seahawks 24-21, 20-21. It's going to be a close one. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring. And it's interesting. I'm going to see what Derek Stingley can do against JSN this game.
Yeah, I think the best part about this game is be the game within the game between those two.
Yeah.
That's definitely the matchup to watch. Probably one of the best receiver DB matchups of the week. But yeah, man. So that's it for our week 7 predictions, guys. We seem to be pretty split this week, it seems like, on our predictions, which is be very interesting. So we'll look forward to coming back and kind of recapping the week next week to see how we did on our picks and how these games go. That wraps it up for our week 7 preview and our Thursday Night Football recap, guys. All right, guys. So now we're getting to a little NBA. The season is about a week away from starting. So we're going to do a little NBA in or out edition. So we're going to say we're in on this team being a championship contender, out on them being a championship contender. These are some of the top teams in each conference that we are starting with. So there could be a lot of ins here. But there are 2 teams on here that we could both be out on possibly, but one of us might be in on. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off with the defending NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think I'm definitely in on this team having a chance to go back to back. SGA is coming off of winning the MVP. They made a great run in the Western Conference, winning the NBA championship pretty convincingly. This is one of the best teams in the league by far. And they're young, and they're a young team that just keeps getting better and better each year that they play together. So I'm definitely all in on the Thunder. being championship contenders, and I'm actually all in on them repeating, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. So we'll definitely do a TikTok about this. Again, go check out the TikTok. It's going to be in the description of this video. We'll definitely make our picks on that video for the defending champions, if they're going to repeat or if we're going to have a new pick. I definitely got the OKC being a serious contender back-to-back years. It's a young team that ended up winning it. They're only going to get better. They're starting to hit their stride. A lot of them are in their prime. Some haven't even hit their prime, which they might hit this season. So they're a very serious contender for me. Probably a top 3 team this year.
Definitely. The next team will be your Boston Celtics. I'm gonna go out on the Celtics being a championship contender just because I know Jason Tatum. You guys made a lot of offseason moves. Drew Holiday is no longer there. Kristaps Porzingis is no longer there. I do like the addition of Anthony Simons. I think he's be a huge offensive spark for you guys coming into the season. But I don't think a team led by Jaylen Brown can win a championship, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm out on my Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum being out for the year. I think that takes us out of contention. In a weaker Eastern Conference that actually has been building over the last couple of years, I still don't even know if we make the playoffs. It'll be close. The new CBA screwed us. It's going to screw a lot of teams. The OKC Thunder being one of those teams in the future where you just can't sign this crazy superstar team anymore. People are going to have to unload contracts. Otherwise, you're going to get taxed. I believe we're almost at $1 billion in luxury tax.
Damn.
Hence why we had to get rid of Drew Holiday, why we had to get rid of Porzingis. Otherwise, we would have been paying more than our team's salary just in luxury tax penalties. So I'm out on my Boston Celtics, unfortunately. We'll get right next year. I'm possibly hoping that we just get a decent draft pick and possibly develop another player into another Peyton Pritchard, hopefully.
Yeah, I do think you guys make the playoffs because the Eastern Conference is weaker. But like I said, now Jason Tatum is huge. If you guys had kept Drew Holiday and Porzingis, I do think there was that championship window still possibly to make it to the championship. But not having your best player, who's a top 10 player in the league, not there is a huge factor. The next team, we're gonna head out west to the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm gonna say I am out right now on the Lakers. They do have a crazy two-headed monster in LeBron and Luca. But LeBron might not be starting the season until mid-November because he's got a sciatic injury. So it's be very interesting to see how this team does. I just don't think they have the depth to make a championship run as good as Luka and LeBron are. Austin Reeves is ascending and becoming like one of the better third options in the league. But outside of those two, you don't really have much outside of that. They signed DeAndre Ayton, who I'm a Suns fan. I know what this guy is. I know who he is, and he is lazy. He's a bum. He is cheeks. He is soft. And yeah, this team doesn't have the makeup to be a championship team as good. Like I said, Luca and LeBron both have the ability to win MVP each year that they play, but the roster around him is not set up for success. I do think JJ Redick actually is a great coach. And I think he showed that last year. He made the roster look better than what it actually was on paper. Record wise look better. But yeah, I'm out on Lakers being championship contenders for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you saying that JJ Redick might be a good coach. I think he needs to see a team without a LeBron James. Seems like a LeBron James ran team is just that. I don't think the coach really runs the team. I think JJ Redick has done the best at running a team as a head coach versus in the past where LeBron James kind of runs over the coach and runs the team himself. With him missing a good chunk of the season at first, missing about a month of the season, I don't think that they're going to be championship contenders this year. I think that it's going to take him a little bit to get back. He typically lately takes off a month or two with other injuries that happen later in the year. I mean, it's his 20 season at this point. So it's expected. I think LeBron James is going to average 20 plus points a game. I think Luka is going to ball out. But when it comes to depth, I do agree with you that I do think that Austin Reeves is probably a top 3, if not top 5 third option in the league at this point. I think he's ascended to the point where, if had he be in a different conference, he might be an all-star at this point. So I think they have a good top heavy team. I just don't think they have the depth to make a playoff run to get into that championship contender.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like, there's just a depth issue, and the Western Conference just is always a tough conference to play in. Yeah, so up next, we got another team out west. We got the Denver Nuggets. This seems to be interesting. No more Michael Porter Jr. They did add Cam Johnson though, who I think is a better fit for this team to Michael Porter Jr. He'll play defense. He can hit the corner three. He could get hot. He had some games where he actually completely took over games last year in Brooklyn because he had to because it's the Brooklyn Nets. So there's that team there. As long as you have Jokic, you are a contender for this team. So I am in on them being a championship contender. It's hard not to include them in that conversation. They're probably a top three team in the West going into next year. It just really comes down to Jamal Murray. He's been inconsistent. He had a very inconsistent year last year in the playoffs. Year before that, he played out of his mind. So this year it's gonna really come down to Jamal Murray and what he can do. Because your Jokic is a walking triple double at this point. It's like almost guaranteed he's gonna get triple double every game in, game out. MVP front runner again, probably coming this year. Him and SGA would probably be top two coming into the year. But I'm 100% in on the Nuggets being a championship contender. But as far as getting to the championship game, it does all depend on Jamal Murray's play this year.
I agree with his play, but more so, can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, I'm in on the Nuggets. If he can't stay healthy, I don't think that they have enough to get there. I do believe Jokic, in my opinion, is the best player in the NBA right now. I watched so many games of the Nuggets play, and I'm just like blown away with what this dude can do. There's not a single thing he can't do, So betting on the best player, I want to say yes, but I need to see Jamal Murray stay healthy for a full season. I need him to hit at least that 70 game mark, 72 games. But if he plays 50 or less this year again, I'm out on them. But as of right now, considering all things are healthy, all things work out, I do think Cam Johnson is a baller. I think he's going to be a great fit for this offense. I definitely got the Nuggets being a championship contender.
100%. Now we get a very interesting team in the Eastern Conference here, in the Orlando Magic. The reason why this team is so interesting is because with the Celtics not having Tatum, just does leave a small window open for a team like the Magic to really make a run in the Eastern Conference. Paulo Banchero is ascending. They're a great 1-2 punch with him and Franz Wagner. I think they're a great team with those two. It's going to be very interesting to see how this team plays throughout the year. They'll probably end up being a top 3 seed in the East, just with how the Celtics are and the rest of the East not being very good. It's probably going to be the Cavs, Magic, and Knicks at the top 3 seeds if I had to take a guess there. I would say I'm out on the Magic being a championship contender, but depending on how the East pans out, they could be a championship contender. But I'm leaning more towards out. I think that they are a very good point guard away. I know they got Desmond Bane now there, but I don't think that's a point guard that could run your offense because he's so score focused and score heavy. You can't really run an offense through him. Had they reached out to the Cavs and gone like maybe Darius Garland, I'd be looking at the Magic a lot differently if they had a guy that could run the offense like that. But they don't. They added Desmond Bane. I'm going to say out on the Magic, but I wouldn't say that's not possible because of the way the East is shaping out.
Yeah, I agree with you on the point guard. I mean, they have Jalen Suggs right now. I believe they got rid of Cole Anthony in that trade to get Desmond Bane along with 4 firsts. Something about that tells me that they're all in on this team and they truly believe this team can make it. Otherwise, why trade all those picks? Again, the draft picks are not nearly as valuable as like an NFL first round pick.
Yeah,
they give seconds away for anybody at this point. They'll do 4 seconds for your 7th best player. So,
yeah.
I like Desmond Bane's play. I think he brings them some good defense, and I think he brings them that 3 ball that they desperately need. This is one of my teams to be like a dark horse candidate to be a top seed in the East. Could be just one of those regular season warriors like we've seen in the past with like the Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan led Raptors, where they just blow everyone out the water for the regular season and then they choke in the playoffs. But they're my dark horse candidate to win the East, but I still don't think they're championship contenders. I think they're still too young. I don't think they have the right point guard in play, but I do think Paolo Banchero is a baller. 100%. So they'll be a playoff team no matter what. So I guess we'll see.
The last team I have for today on the NBA In or Out is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm actually in on them this year. Again, this just goes to the Celtics being out of contention this year. It does leave the window open for the Cavs. I know the Knicks are there. The Bucks can maybe be an issue, but outside of Giannis, the Bucks don't really have anybody. I'm in on Cavs being a championship contender this year just because the Celtics are kind of out of contention. And I think in a 7-game series, they can beat the Knicks, who would be the biggest competition to them. The Pacers are going to have a down year with no Halliburton, too. So the window's really open in the East. So I'm going to be in on the Cavs this year being a championship contender. And I do think this is a year where Donovan Mitchell does get over that playoff hump and he gets some help from Darius Garland in particular. Evan Mobley is ascending as well. But this is if you're this Cavs team and you're a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers, this is your window and your opportunity to really take advantage of the East the way it is to get to the championship. So I am in on the Cavs this year.
I was talking about injury history with Jamal Murray. Same thing with Lonzo Ball. I thought that was a great acquisition for them in this offseason. If he can stay healthy and facilitate this offense, I do think they can be scary. Championship contenders, I know I was shaking my head at the beginning, but I just don't want them to be. I hate the Cavs being a Celtics fan, but, they are. Realistically, they are. Celtics being out this year, somebody's got to fill that role for the Eastern Conference. I definitely have the Cavs and Knicks and Magic in that mix. My favorite right now is probably going to be the Cavaliers. Lonzo Ball, if he can stay healthy for a full season, I do believe this is a serious championship contender. Evan Mobley's been balling out of his mind. Donovan Mitchell, he comes alive. He gets you those 40, 50-point games in the playoffs. So if Darius Garland can step up as the second scorer next to Evan Mobley, then yeah, I think this is a serious championship contender.
I'm 100% with you. All right, guys, we got Shways Slate up next to end the show today. All right, yeah, so we got Shways Slate to end today. You guys told me for Thursday night football game, it did hit. We had Jamar Chase for a touchdown, and I also had Jaylen Warren for over half a reception in the first quarter, and he had like 2 in the first quarter. So that banged out. Today, guys, we got 2 slips for you. I got a 2-man and a 4-man. The 2-man is on Prize Picks, guys. I like the line slightly better on Prize Picks. Again, we are not affiliated with any of these companies. I'm doing these based on where I think the lines are the best for the certain plays. So this first slip is the 2-man. I'm going 2 units on it, so that's $50. Again, if I say 1 unit, that's $25. 2 units is $50. So I got 2 units on this one. I got Jordan Addison over 41.5 receiving yards because he's be guarded by some traffic cones by our DB2s in Philly. And then I'll have Wan'Dale Robinson under 47.5 receiving yards because I just think that Broncos secondary is just way too good. And for my 4-leg guys, this would be on Underdog. Again, we are not affiliated with these companies. This is just where the lines were the best. But so on Underdog, I have Justin Fields over 40.5 rushing yards against the Panthers. I have Cortland Sutton for a touchdown, rushing or receiving touchdown. I have Caleb Williams under 26.5 rushing yards. I just don't see him running the ball that much in this game. And then I do have Spencer Rattler over 206.5 passing yards. I do think this will be a game where he does air the ball out a lot. And with the Bears secondary not being the best, I can see him easily going over that mark for this game. And I'm putting 1 unit on that one since it's 4-man. Just a 1 unit play.
For Shways Slate, the 2-legger is going to be the safer bet. The 4-legger is going to be the get rich quick kind of slate. So take that as you will. I definitely recommend his 2-leggers. And yeah, for his 4-legger, again, that's why he's doing the 1 unit. So it's a little bit more risky, higher payout. So take that as you will, but definitely take his 2-legger.
Well, yeah, guys, that is going to do it for the podcast for this episode 2. Be prepared for next week for episode 3, guys. We're going to start cranking these out twice a week. And just pay attention to our TikTok and our Instagram reels. The links in the description will be down below for all those. Socials, you catch us there. Like Aaliyah said earlier in the video, we will have a Would You Rather edition going up on TikTok and reels. That'll be a fun one for you guys to watch there. And yeah, guys, appreciate all the love and support. And that's been Fourth and Clutch. You got anything else to say to the people before you get out here, Elias?
No, that's it. Appreciate you guys showing the continued love and support. Keep it coming. We're going to keep these episodes coming out for you guys. Again, we're going to be getting out more content on TikTok, Reels, everything that have you. So yeah, just keep an eye on that for the future. So thank you.
All right, guys. And with that being said, that is Fourth and Clutch episode 2. We are out of here.